Good morning, agave lovers. Today, we're going to talk about pests. And more specifically, we're going to talk about mealy bugs, since that seems to be the issues that many of us agave lovers come across. And if you don't know what mealy bugs are, chances are, if you do have agaves, you've seen them before. What they will typically look like are little pieces of almost like white, little bits of white cotton, or maybe it looks like mold. And a lot of times you'll see that in the tips of the terminal spines of the agaves, especially in the core. And a lot of times you'll start to see the mealy bugs build up in the core, and then a lot of times you'll see ants going to them too, because mealy bugs produce honeydew, and ants love honeydew. So you'll see ants and mealy bugs kind of together, and that's because the ants are collecting the honeydew and the mealy bugs are producing the honeydew. And when the eggs hatch, they're going to feed on the plant, and that's going to stress the plant out, and if left untreated, can potentially kill the plant, especially when they're small, they're in a greenhouse, and they've been neglected. I have to check my plants. I try to do it at least every 2 days, and you won't believe, or maybe you do believe because you run into this problem too, of how quickly mealy bugs can infest your garden and your greenhouses. Mealy bugs aren't a huge issue for me in the garden. For some reason, when the plants are in ground, they're less susceptible to the mealy bugs, but when they are in my greenhouses, it's a real struggle. And I'll show you some plants and some agaves that are typically attract mealy bugs. So today we're going to work on a solution that I've used. It's all natural. I'm in California. A lot of the chemicals, garden chemicals and things, we can't even get anyway. So I have pets and I have kids, and I want to keep this as natural as possible. So this isn't an application that will treat it permanently. Like, you treat it and you don't have to worry about it anymore. This is an ongoing process. So this will help, but you do have to keep up on it, and it's temporary relief. The ants will leave the area alone, usually for 1 to 5 days, maybe a little bit longer. But sometimes those pesky ants will really get in there after a day and really start to get up and collect that honeydew. So without further ado, let's get started. And we are going to be working with water, rubbing alcohol, 70% rubbing alcohol. That's typically all that's really out there. The industrial purposes, I think, for like 90 or 95%. We don't need that. Just standard alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, dish soap, and neem oil. And some of the things that we'll be using are some beakers. I've got a 2-cup one. I've got this syringe that is 5 ml or 1 teaspoon. And this is my favorite sprayer that I use. It's a 1 liter. The brand is Solo. All of this stuff I have in my descriptions at the bottom. There are links to Amazon, and I do get a tiny commission, but it really doesn't add up to much, but they are there because people do ask me where I get a lot of this stuff. So I tried to put as many tools and things that I use in the description. This is a 1 liter. 1 liter is 4 1/4 cups. So this, what we're going to do today, will make about 3 cups of let me see here, 1, 2, yeah, about 3 cups of solution, and that will go nicely in here. And the nozzle on this does a really fine spray, so I have a few of these. I have some in the house with just water, and for my plants in the house that I like to kind of spray and give them a little humidity, I'll use this and put it on the fine setting. And then it has a spray setting as well, for, like a squirt gun. It has a really strong spray. And then I kind of put it in the middle, and this is what I use when I'm spraying my agaves, and I'll show you that process too. So without further ado, let's get started. The ratio is going to be 1 to 2. That's neem oil. That is alcohol to water. So 1 cup of alcohol, 250 mils, and 2 cups of water. So 1 cup alcohol, 2 cups water. And we're going to do 5 mils or 1 teaspoon of neem oil and 10 drops of dish soap. We're going to put the dish soap in last because we don't want this to all, foam over and things like that. Especially when I shake in the neem oil, I want to get that mixed in. So let's start with the water first. So let's do 2 cups. The ratios are there as sort of a guide. You can play with what works best for you. This is just what has always worked for me. This is safe to put on your plants and agaves, and I've been using this for years. And like I said, it's not a permanent treatment. This is something that you're gonna have to do semi-frequently, but it does help. And in the next step, let me see here. Let's get this on, get it nice and tight. With this, we just give it a few pumps. Nice fine mist. Okay, let me clear this off and we'll get some plants on here and we'll talk a little bit about which plants tend to attract mealy bugs a lot and which ones I really don't have too many problems with, and which ones that just kind of completely stay away from because they can be a pain to deal with. So let's get some plants in here and we'll talk about that next. Okay, we have our first agave here, and you might notice this is an Agave Americana marginita. It's a variegated Americana, kind of like the big beast behind me here. This is non-variegated, and this is a variegated one. Very common agaves. And what is also common is these things collect mealy bugs, and you will see them, I don't know if you can see here, you'll see them here in the tips. Lots of them collect right in here. And for the most part, you'll see a majority of them that will be right in the core, right at the top of that terminal spine there. Let's see if I can swing this around and you can see there. Look at that, it's a mess. So what we're gonna do is, this is kind of in 2 parts where I don't spray first. What I do is I have hundreds of these little things. These are paintbrushes. My wife, myself, we all went to art school. My kids are artists, so we have paintbrushes everywhere. So these are great for what we're going to do next. And I like to first physically get the mealy bugs off. Wear our gloves, because if you run your fingers up this core, if you've done this before, you know what I mean. The teeth stick out just ever so slightly, and when you run your finger across, you'll get poked, and you'll get one of those stuck in your skin, and it'll take forever to get it out. So first thing we're going to do is work the brush in there, and sometimes we can open up the, take my glove off here for a moment. Let me see if we can see through with this camera too. We can open it up just ever so slightly and get our brush in there. And because they're going to keep doing that with the next leaf, they're going to lay their eggs under there. And we just want to try to sort of stop that process from happening. We want to get them as much out as we can now so that the next couple of leaves may not have any more in there. And we want to, well, first put our glove back on and get these all out of, you can see them all coming out there. get as many out as we can with the brush, so physically getting these things out. And don't forget the bottom side too. The bottom sides of these leaves many times will have tons of mealy bugs on them too. And then at the base, tons of ants in this one. They're harvesting that honeydew. And you can see, as I was saying, that once the mealy bugs are here and they're feasting on this plant, that area will start to die off. This area will start to die off. They're eating the actual material of the plant. And we don't want that. We want them out of here. These are pests. We want these pests out of our garden. So get all the white stuff off. And once we're pretty good on that, you can see it'll even be on the containers too. Next thing we do is grab our mixture. I haven't shaken it up yet, so we'll give it a shake. Get that neem oil and the dish soap in there, all mixed in. A few more pumps. Just give it a spray. Again, I've been using this for a long time. This is safe on our agaves. If you're sort of concerned about that, just try it on one. Just try it on one agave first and wait a couple of weeks and see how it does. So also when I'm doing this, I like to, as I was doing with the brush, I like to kind of, I don't know if you can see it from here, spread it open just a little bit to get that mixture in there. You can see it'll start to kind of be a little bit bubbly from that soap. And the soap just helps the liquid stick to the surface. Okay, that's a good one there. And let's treat our next one. We'll set this down. Put this agave aside. And here we are. Same thing, another variegated Americana. And looks like we have the same thing that we need to treat in the same way. So we'll get it off these terminal spines inside the leaves and in the core right here. And I think I dropped my paintbrush. Same thing. Okay, can you see these right here? Right in there. You can see the eggs right there, the dots. And then you can see more right in here. And look at them all up here into the core. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing as we did. Get these eggs out of here. The ants are saying, no, but we love honeydew. It's so good. But we don't want these things ruining our plants. All the hard work that goes into growing and maintaining these beauties. So we're just kind of what we did with the other Americana. We're just spreading the leaf open as much as we can to get that paintbrush in there. If you don't have paintbrushes, definitely invest in these. I don't think I have these on my link descriptions, but I'll add them if you want. I buy these in like packs of, I think, 200 or something like that. They're really cheap. They don't last too long, but they do the job. Okay. Now that I've got, oh, looks like I forgot this leaf. So as I was saying, Americanas and all the different species. This one is, what is it? Aurea, Agave, it's not Mediopicta, Agave Aurea. I'll think of it. I'll put it up here. Anyway, this one is really popular on my plant shop. Every time I get these in, they usually sell out pretty fast. I think I still have one or two up right now. But this one hasn't gone up for sale yet because it does have a bit of a mealybug problem, and I'm not going to put plants up that are not healthy. So once I clean this one up, we'll give it a couple of months and we'll see how it is, and then we'll see if it's ready for to sell. And now that we physically removed as much as we can, let's go ahead and spray it. Get inside all those the tips. This is where they like to hang out. And then open it up again just a little. Okay, on to the next one. Another one that is notorious for mealybugs tends to be Agave parryi truncata. When they're young, for me at least, this one is a pup from quite a while ago, and it wasn't doing so well. It was neglected on my part. I tend to run out of room with my agaves, and my greenhouses are full, so I have an overflow. And sometimes with the overflow, they get a little bit too much sun, not enough sun. I'm trying to spread them out throughout the yard, and this one just didn't get treated in time, and it did get some mealybugs. So you can see probably right here, see these all this white here from the mealybugs, and same as this one in the core. This one isn't too bad, so we'll just get in here with the brush, physically get in here and remove as we did before. Yeah, this one's pretty good. This one doesn't have much. This truncata needs to be repotted, I can tell. Has a little variegation line too. That's the only leaf that it has a little variegation on. Oh, there's some more. Okay, let's give it a spray. Let's get in that core. Yeah, the water makes it, or the stuff I just mixed up makes the variegation line a little more pronounced. You can see right there, just a little variegation line. Right there. You see that? Okay. All right. Oh, we have some on the bottom. Actually, quite a bit, probably more on the bottom than we did in the around the terminal spines. Ooh, yeah, quite a bit down here. Once I physically remove this, I'll give the bottom a quick spray too. These things hide. It almost seems like they're aware of me in the greenhouse. They'll hide sort of, they'll be on like the opposite sides of the leaves, the parts that I can't see. It's like they know I'm there. Okay, a little bit underneath. All right, plenty. And last one that we're going to do today. And the last one we're going to do today is this Agave Midas. You might have heard another name that this agave is called, Agave Celsii nova, and same name, or a different name, same agave. Agave Midas, a little bit of an older name, and Agave Celsii nova, it's the name that I've usually call it. It's the name that I was first introduced to, but when you see these in books, usually you have to find this agave under Agave Midas. And I believe Midas means harmless, and that's a good description of this plant because it doesn't have any of the large teeth as most agaves do. It's not completely soft either, like in a tenueta or blue flame, but it does have just a small amount of teeth here. And the terminal spines are only about 1/2 inch or so. Even on the adult plant, they're about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And this plant, I just checked on this about less than a week ago, and it was fine. And look at it now. Look how quickly mealybugs can devastate a plant. Look at that. It's incredible. This core is in pretty rough shape. These leaves are going to die off, and there are a lot of mealybugs in there. This core is basically just full, and I can't really spread this one open that much. So we're going to treat it as what we did with the other plants. And it might be necessary to core this plant. That's something completely different than what we're doing right now. I'll do a video about coring. First time I saw that is with a lot of the Japanese Instagram followers or Instagram users that I follow who showcase some beautiful agave titanota, oterii, horrida. These guys are great. They're actually some of the first agaves that I saw in pots and in display that got me into this. A lot of those guys have been doing this a long time, and they're great. I came from the bonsai world, so I went from bonsai trees here in Northern California, Central Valley. Bonsai trees are pretty hard to take care of. You got to have a greenhouse, and I had a greenhouse disaster one year. So that led me to agaves after seeing some of the people I followed with bonsai. They also had agave titanota, and man, did I really get into that. And here we are almost 10 years later. Okay, so let's get back on track here. This is in pretty rough shape. So I'll use the brush as much as I can to physically get these out. The leaves are just completely falling apart. They're trashed. But it's not like the plant is dead. It's just unhealthy, and it is begging to be rescued. So, yeah, a lot of problems in here. I can't really get in to where a lot of these mealybugs are right now. So what I can do now is I've done what I can physically removing them. I'll give it a spray, and then I'm going to come back in the next few days and keep an eye on it. And if the problem persists and even gets worse, I will likely core this plant. And I'll do a video on that, especially I'll do a video on this one if I end up doing it to it. Coring the plant, we just cut this out, the core. We scrape down and get out all the rotten bits so that it's just white. We're dealing with just the inner part of the agave. We don't want any rot in there. And we can leave some of these leaves on, but we just want the core out of there. And then we put it in a dry place where it's not going to get any water at all. And we use root hormone. I have root hormone in the description as well below. And root hormone is great for agaves, and we'll put some root hormone in the core, and we'll try to grow some pups out of it. Sometimes we can get 1, 2, maybe 3, sometimes 4 pups growing out of that core area after we do a proper job of coring it. But we're not there yet. We're just going to still treat this for mealybugs, and we will go ahead and give it a spray. I'm going to do another video about Agave Midas or Agave Salsii nova. Might even have my kids help me out. I've had a lot of these in the yard over the years, and they bloom after a really short time, 5 to 7 years. And they bloom and they send up a quite beautiful flower. And when I talk more about this in an upcoming video, I'll show you some pictures of my Agave Midas that was down here. I had another one. The first one I had bloomed right at the front of the walkway. And the last one that bloomed was this spring, and it's in the backyard. And that's the one that I'll talk about most because the plant is still in ground. They bloomed this spring. And that is a kind of a clue as to why I think this plant is so special. I want to thank you for stopping by today. Thank you for being with me on this journey of mine. And if you found anything interesting, you liked what you saw, please give it a like. I'd really appreciate that. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. That would really help in building this channel. And thanks again for stopping by, and we'll see you again real soon. Thanks. Okay, what to do with you, plant? What to do with you? Now, I think you're gonna go back. You're gonna go back in the greenhouse, but we're gonna have to really keep an eye on you. Thanks.